Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV's news cycle, live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Judith Peters. On the news this evening, the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Ekewonu Ugochinyere, has pledged to carry out a comprehensive audit of the premium motor spirit, PMS, commonly known as petrol subsidy regime. He also said the implementation of Petrol Industry Act, PIA, which has become a major concern to key stakeholders, would be thoroughly reviewed. Ugochinyere said this at the inauguration of the committee in Abuja on Friday. Kikelomo Okere has details.
The chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources says the committee will legislate for energy security, professionalism in the petroleum sector, economic transformation, accountability, institutional reform, revenue recovery and generation, with a specific goal of helping the federal government to recover $20 billion revenue from the sector. The lawmaker says the early remittance of federal revenues and recovery of unremitted revenues is part of what the committee will focus on in the coming days.
Modern legislators perform a myriad of functions and roles which derive from their constitutional position in a democracy. We believe that democratic norms must be fully employed in protecting the interests, safety, and welfare of the people. It is therefore in its quest to execute this function that the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream of the House of Representatives is set up to carry out the functions already stated above. I want to assure you all that this committee, under our watch, will ensure that the right thing is done at all times. The Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream of the 10th House of Representatives is going to be a committee with the interests of the people at heart, and a committee that will put the interests of the nation forward in all its consideration, especially the quest for energy security.
He says the Downstream Committee of the House on Petroleum Resources will do a comprehensive audit of the PMS subsidy regime. He says the committee will probe the beneficiary of the payment, rendering accounts on all loans, transactions, and the export financing arrangement and other loans arrangements.
This committee will legislate for energy security. This committee will carry out its function in all with high level of professionalism in the petroleum sector. We will focus on economic transformation, accountability, institutional reforms, and revenue recovery and generation, with a specific goal of helping the federal government to recover the over $20 billion revenue from the sector that have not been remitted.
The chairman added that the committee has started getting reports that most of the modulars refineries are ready for operation, saying there are challenges of the domestic crude supply, but the Petroleum Industry Act has made provision for domestic crude supply to those modulars and all local refineries as it is in the constitutional provision. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The Court of Appeal seated in Abuja has upheld the election of the member representing Gemers Shanga Federal Constituency in the National Assembly, Daniel Amos. This affirmation follows the dismissal of petition challenging his victory in February 25th poll. The three-man member, in an anonymous decision, held that the appeal brought before it by the candidate of All Progressive Congress, Usman Anto, against the lawmaker lacked merit. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared Daniel Amos as the winner of the National Assembly election. This testified with the declaration, Usman and the APC challenged the election of Amos and filed a petition against the State Election Tribunal. The Kaduna State National and State Election Petition Tribunal dismissed the petition for lack of merit, not satisfied with the judgment of the tribunal, and to appeal to the Court of Appeal on the grounds of certificate forgery. But Justice Samuel Ademola Bolaji, who read the judgment, said that Anto failed woefully to establish the case of forgery against the lawmaker. The justices rebuked the appellant for relying on mere allegations, as there was no evidence before the tribunal and Court of Appeal to establish the case of forgery against the defendant. According to the court, the evidence tendered by the appellant is to trivial and cannot be used to terminate the election of Daniel Amos. Meanwhile, the Lagos State High Court, sitting in a Ikeja on Friday, ordered the arrest of the chairman of Ibeto Energy Development Company, Cletus Ibeto, for allegedly refusing to appear in court to face his alleged 4.8 billion naira fraud trial. Justice Ismail Ijelu issued a bench warrant after a motion moved by the Council for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Rotimi Jacobson, who confirmed the court that the defendant had flagrantly failed and refused to appear in court despite repeated hearing notice served on him. The defendant arraignment was stalled on September 28 and October 5, 2023 due to his failure to appear in court, although he was represented by his lawyer. Twice, his lawyer Onyechi Ikpeazu San informed the court that his client was absent due to ill health. He, however, promised to produce him on Friday, but when the matter was called on Friday, it was represented by another counsel. Daniel Awudziele San, who told the court that the defendant was sick and could not be in court. Following the development, Jacobs urged the court to issue a bench warrant for the arrest of the businessman. Jacobs claimed that the defendant was in legal and the commission could have arrested him, but it did not have to order of the court to do so. Justice Ijelu thereafter adjourned the matter till November 15, 2023 for the arraignment of the defendant. As well, the Air Force has announced partial restriction of traffic for its annual 10 kilometers walk and jogging exercise on Saturday by 6 a.m. in Abuja and other Air Force bases across the nation. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gabbard, said the exercise is aimed at enhancing the physical fitness of its personnel. He said the exercise in Abuja is expected to kick off from Air Force Base at Socorro Football Field to the Defense Headquarters roundabout down to Kefi Road, Kubo Furniture and Pedestrian Bridge, Army Checkpoint, Kubo, and back to base via the Nigeria Air Force Valley Second Gate. The statement says during the period there will be a partial restriction of traffic along the roads indicated. Similarly, the exercise in other locations nationwide is expected to cover major roads around Air Force bases and its environs. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC have issued a 5-day ultimatum for the redeployment of the Commissioner of Police in Imo State. The ultimatum by organized labor followed the attack on the NLC President Joe Ajaero in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on Thursday. The threat was issued by the leaders of the organized labor at a press conference in Abuja. The organized labor demanded the arrest and prosecution of the special advisor to the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma on special duties, threatening to embark on a nationwide industrial action if their demands are not carried out. Some of the other demands made on the federal government by the leaders of the two unions include the removal of Commissioner of Police Imo State and Area Commander, among other officials, for their alleged complicity in the brutalization and humiliation of Ajaero and other workers. The union leaders accused the Imo State government as well as the police of being responsible for the attack on the NLC leader. Meanwhile, the Imo State government and the police denied every allegations against them in their separate responses on Friday. Meanwhile, the joint troops of the Nigeria Army and the Department of State Services have successfully averted an imminent attack on Kano by insurgents. In a dawn raid operation carried out on the terrorist hideout in the early hours of Friday, troops of 3 Brigade Nigeria Army, in close cooperation with the Department of State Services (DSS), conducted a coordinated raid operation in Gezawa local government area of Kano State. The operation was aimed at uncovering and apprehending suspected Boko Haram terrorists believed to be planning a major operation in Kano State. Consequently, the troops swiftly swung into action and apprehended 2 Boko Haram terrorist suspects who are now in custody. During the operation, the joint troops of the Nigeria Army and the DSS recovered 5 AK-47 rifles, 5 AK-47 rifles magazines, 1 rocket-propelled gun, 5 RPG bombs, 6 hand grenades, 5 pairs of desert camouflage uniform, 10 pairs of magazine pouches, and some improvised explosive device-making materials. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has announced that it will be closing the Eko Bridge between Costain and Alaka Descent to carry out emergency repairs. These repairs are necessary to avoid a complete vandalization and theft of the suspension joint, as well as the replacement of missing parts and the recasting of the transition concrete around the suspension joint. Motorists planning to use the bridge are consequently advised to use the Costain ramp to link Alaka through the Costain roundabout. This was contained in a press statement signed by the Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun Osiemi. The bridge will be closed on Saturday, November 4th, 2023 by 4 a.m. and reopened on Monday, November 6th, 2023. A ghastly accident occurred in the afternoon on Thursday at Mpape Junction in Abuja. Lamidi Ibrahim, an eyewitness, and a heavy-duty truck had lost control while speeding down the narrow road. Global TV crew visited the scene of the incident, and here's the report by our correspondent, Subarat Usman.
Lamidi Ibrahim said about 7 persons had already died and the last person was still breathing when the rescue team arrived.
The tipper fell break and spoiled up to like 8 or 9 motors and people dead.
Like how many?
People that are dead, they are more than 6. The one I carry by myself with my people, all these road safety people, they are up to more than 6 that we carry. Only one guy that survived among the 6, and one student joined them. He died also. We later saw this student under the truck in between the inside. The student was inside the keke napep, and the tipper have already waged him. You have matched him already. So the student now they have taken him away. So there are more than 6 that are there, or 7 self. What I want to plead you people is that you should just try to help us. Try to help us in this Pape road. In what way can you help us? Let all these tipper, let them stop moving in the daytime, because the rate of people that tipper is killing on a daily or monthly or weekly basis is too much. So let them stop tipper for afternoon movement. I don't know who they are bribing. This thing should have been stopped since how many years, but they didn't stop them. Tipper should stop working in the afternoon time because Pape is highly populated. I'm not too many Pape road.
The FCT Federal Road Safety Commander Chari Mutara said the number of casualties has not been confirmed, contrary to eyewitness reports.
A lot of people have been taken to hospital, so we cannot be able to quote a particular number to you now. Certainly there are fatalities. But what I can tell you is that a number of vehicles were involved, about 5 vehicles, 1 tipper truck, about 5 keke were involved, and 1 motorcycle. It's brake failure by a tipper vehicle that failed brake uphill, and so it was descending, and so it carried a lot of people along with it.
Residents appealed to relevant authorities to dualize Mpape Road and regulate movement of tanker trucks to reduce incessant accidents on the road.
A POS person that's picketing beside road here. I was there when the incident started and when it happened. Actually, it's a very disastrous accident that a lot of things need to be looked in by government to take measures of a lot of things. Like the way the accident happened, normally they said anytime you see a very big damaged accident like this, it's caused by a new driver who doesn't know the road. Though I heard over the years that there were new unions that were fighting over that if a new driver should take in a car, should always be given to a very to an old tanker driver to bring the car down. The accident happened, he started hitting by 1 Corolla that got sides of the road. Where the person wasn't injured, but the car was damaged. After then, it was an Okada people before it started coming over these Keke Napep people, and finally it landed on top 2 Keke Napep that 2 students from Model Secondary School were in which the tire of the truck lies on the neck of one of the students. It's a very, very disastrous accident that someone could not take a second look. Actually, with government have been trying, but there should be measures taken in, maybe making the road more wide, and then maybe the market should be built in a way that other things should be kept by the roadside that can be reducing the speed of the trucks. Maybe if this kind of incident is happening.
I was calling on Nigerian Emergency Management Agency, FCT Emergency Management Agency, Federal Road Safety Commission, Director of Road Traffic Services that please, people are trapped under this truck, rescue us. I put a call to some of the emergency call rooms of DRTS, FRSC, police and what have you, till I left here after 30 minutes, until I was about leaving before that of the DRTS recovery called that they were on their way.
The Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, PCNGI, on Thursday inaugurated the Abuja CNG Conversion and Training Center to ensure the attainment of sustainable energy future in the country. The center was commissioned at the Nigeria Institute of Transport Technology, NITT, under the leadership of its Director General, Bayero Farah. In his remark at the event, Zach Adedeji, the Chairman Presidential CNG Initiative Steering Committee, disclosed that the government spent $6 billion to import petroleum into the country annually, noting that they can have power all on their vehicles with the gas at a cheaper and 1/3 of the cost. Adedeji, represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Domestic Affairs, Toyin Tuber, assured that no monopoly would be created in executing the CNG project across the country. On his part, the Minister of Transportation, Saidu Alkali,